In part 1, we start to build our master sketch. We managed to create and properly constrain these radial lines and then create the center line. The goal of this part is to create these guidelines for our future roll sheet metal components, and from them we will define the location of the profile sketches. Basically, there will be planes normal to the screen and passing through these lines. Because we can't get to them directly, we will use these cycles as construction geometry. But as I mentioned in part 1, we will have beforehand to clean our graphic area a little bit so we can be more at ease when we will create new geometry. Similar to AutoCAD, Solid Edge gives you the ability to use layers to group geometry and dimensions, which makes it easy to show and hide them when needed. To access the layer tools, click on this layer tab, and in the top you will have the tools available: new layer, show layer, hide layer, move element. By default, all the entities are created in this default layer. We are going to create one layer for the radial lines and another one for the dimension. So new layer, and we will rename it radial underscore lines, and then we'll create another one, radial underscore lines and underscore dim for dimension. When you see the pencil in the icon in front of the layer name, it means that the layer is the active layer. When you will create new geometry, it will be in this layer. But what we want to do now is to select all the dimensions and move them to this layer. You can select dimension one by one, or you can window select to select multiple entity at the same time. But as you can see, the center line and other lines are selected, but this is not what we want. We can prevent this from happening by using the select option and deselect the entity we don't want to select. So we'll just keep dimensions and annotations. Okay, then window select again, and we have all these angular dimension and linear dimension selected. Now back to the layer tab, we will select move elements and move to radial lines dimension layer, and then OK. Now we will make the radial lines layer active by double clicking or right click or right click, make active. And before moving forward, we will hide this layer, and then we will come back to the select option and reselect all these options. Okay, now we will select the radial lines with Control key press so we can multiple select. Okay, this is one way of doing. Another way will be to change the method of selection. Instead of directional fence, what we can do is overlapping, and then just select what is inside, and as you can see, we have the line selected as well as this dimension. We will just press shift and select the dimension to deselect it. Now back to the layer tab, select move element to radial lines layer and OK. Now we'll set this default layer as the active layer by double clicking again, and then we can hide the radial lines layer. We will add another layer for our cycles. We'll name it cycles, and we'll make sure that it is the active layer. Now we are ready to create our construction geometry. Okay, so this point is labeled on the PDF drawing as point 1, point 2, point 3, point 5, point 4, excuse me, point 5, point 6. So we are going to work in this order, and the radius or the cycle is defined by this dimension, as you can see. Okay, so make sure that the maximum are visible, and then we will move to this draw panel again, select the cycle by center point, and what we will do is to enter the radius dimension, because to draw a cycle we can enter the diameter or the radius. Because we have the radius available, so we will enter the radius dimension. So first one is 192, then press enter. A cycle appears in the screen. All we have to do is to define the center point of the cycle. So we just have to click on this endpoint, and as you can see, a cycle is created. So we have this one done, first one, second one. The value for the second one is the same, so we will just have to click and place it. The third one also is done. Select the endpoint and click to place the cycle. So we can go like that with the other cycles, but I will stop here for a minute to add some dimension. So we'll use the smart dimension and select the first cycle, and as you can see, a diameter dimension is displayed, but what I want is a radius dimension, so I will select radius, so it will be easy to check and make sure that everything is okay. So this first one is okay, second one, and third one. And as we did before, I want to make sure that all these values are equals, so I will double click on this one, select this one, right click, okay, double click, select, and okay. Now I want to show you a trick that will help us to get rid of the extra steps of dimensioning the cycles after placing them. What we can do is to move here to the dimension panel and then activate this auto dimension tool. Each time we will create a geometry, a dimension will be automatically added as if we are using the relationship assistant on the fly. Okay, so back to our cycle by center point tool, and the next one, which is the 1, 2, 3, 4th one, will have a radius of 202. Enter, and then it will be placed at this position. The 5th one will be at 215, and then at this position the 6th at 228, and then at this position. Okay, I will right click and escape to finish the tool. As you can see, the dimensions are directly added, but they are diameter dimensions, so we'll have to change the style as we did before to have a radius dimension. We can multiple select and change it to radius. Okay, now you can see we have the appropriate value displayed. Also, you may have noticed that it is becoming more and more difficult to select the endpoint. Okay, let me try show this with the next one, 242,5. You can see there is a chance you can select the wrong point. So to make sure we will always click on the endpoint, we have to change some settings in the IntelliSketch panel. We'll make sure that the endpoint will be the only constraint available. So we will uncheck all the other one, this one and this one. Now we can only select the endpoint. Okay, so now number 8 will be at 256 and it will be this one. Number 9 at 268. This one. Then press tab to shift to the radius dimension 281. Enter for the number 10. Okay. We still have the indicator, the vertical indicator which appears. It means that what we should have done is to use the IntelliSketch option and then on this relationship disable this one also and the other ones. So you can see now we just have the endpoint option. So this IntelliSketch option give you more controls than what is displayed. Okay, so now you see I don't have the vertical alignment indicator, so now just highlight and only the endpoint is detected. Okay, so next one, is 293 and endpoint 304. Okay, I don't know why the alignment indicator is appearing. This is strange. Okay, we'll have to do with that. So this endpoint, then we'll pan to move to the number 13, which is 316. Then we select the endpoint. Then we have 327 and we select this endpoint and we'll finish with 337. Then select the endpoint and maybe we should add this one too. Okay, and this one will be 700. So we just enter the diameter this time, 700, enter, and we will look for the endpoint and there it is. For this one in particular, we will we will delete the dimension and we will use the relate the connect tool to connect this endpoint to, we cannot select it because we disable everything here, so we will put them back. Let's see, I will use only silhouette point for the time being, and maybe I will also activate tangent. So we have silhouette, endpoint, and tangent active only. Let's see if it's the case. Tangent and endpoint, silhouette is not visible. Okay, so connect, tangent, and then endpoint. So now this cycle is also fully constrained. Now what you have to do is to change the display of this value so we can check and make sure that we input the right value. Okay, so reduce. Now a quick check. So 228, 242.5, 256, 268, 2, okay, 281. Okay, now if you want to move the dimensions, you left click and keep the left mouse button pressed down and move it. So click and maintain the button pressed down and drag, click, drag, click, drag, click, drag. Okay, it seems that this one, okay, this dimension is for this one for this. Okay, shift middle button to pan, this is for this one, again, so if you click and release, it will open the input box. If you just click and drag, it will move the dimension. Some people have problems with that. It is a little bit difficult to grasp the first time. Okay, let's keep going. So 281, 293, 304, 316, 327, and 337. Okay, that's all good. Now we are going to create another layer for the cycles dimension. So we will name it cycles dim, and we will select all these radius dimensions, and then move elements, and we will move them to the cycle dimension layer, and then we will make sure that the default layer are active. We will hide the cycle dimension, so we are left with minimal element played on the screen. Now is the time for us to add the guidelines. So we'll just have to create them such that each line except the first one are tangent to two cycles. So this line tangent to this cycle and this cycle, and so on. So let's get to it. We start a new line and we start somewhere here. Okay, this one should be tangent to this cycle and the other one, so I will stop somewhere like that. And as you can see, I have the dimension automatically added. In this case, we don't need to dimension these lines, so I will stop here. And what we can do to fix that is to come back to the IntelliStage and IntelliSketch options, and in this auto dimension tab we will keep this automatically create dimension for new geometry, but instead of when geometry is drawn, we will select only when geometry is created with k-in values, so that we will no longer have this value created automatically for us. So I will delete these two, and again back to the line tool, select the endpoint somewhere here like that. As you can see, dimensions are no longer created on the fly, somewhere like that. I can try to obtain the tangency also like that. And this is because we have tangency active on the IntelliSketch option. So tangent to this one, so pre-select the cycle, then when you move closer, the tangency will be created. Zoom out a little bit and then pre-select this one, tangency, and then we'll finish with this one, which is not necessary. Okay, now we will add tangent constraint. So we select the tangent tool, so this line and this line, and we maybe in this case we have to resize the line. Okay, we resize it a little bit more. Okay, let's see, this one is only tangent to the first cycle, this one will be tangent to this one and this one. Okay, so tangent again, this one and this one, this one, this one, this, 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 and this. Okay, this one already existed, so I just have one to add. You see how using IntelliSketch saves us some work. Okay. Now this is the last one, tangent to this and to this, and maybe make this one tangent to this. Okay, pretty much good. Now we have to add the section plane lines. So line tool again, endpoint to endpoint, right click to finish the line, endpoint to endpoint, endpoint to endpoint, endpoint to endpoint, and so on and so on. And that's it for this part. In the next part we will create this transition. So basically this part we skip in the previous videos, and we will build the geometry for this deflector. Maybe we will have some time to jump in the 3D to create the section planes. Okay, hope to see you then, and thanks again for watching.